Welcome to the grand finals of Templars of the Arena 2. Here we have MarineLord and Beasty facing off against 3D Clan, and we will have Beasty and MarineLord with yellow and red in command of the HRE and the French, and on the other side it is Bee+Anotand with the Rus and the Malians. Now, we have had a very similar storyline in the first edition of this event for Beasty and MarineLord. They came in, they lost an early round, fell down to the lower bracket, then swept the lower bracket, got back into the grand finals, and they ended up securing it. So far, the story is similar. They fell down to the lower bracket, went through it, defeated Puppy and Wham in the previous round, the one team that actually knocked them down to the lower bracket, as we have pretty much a tech commit here for Bee+Anotand just forfeiting this round. So they are now back in the grand finals. Whereas on the other side, Bee+Anotand is the team that is yet to be defeated here in this tournament. They have a clean record, right? They are yet to be defeated. We'll have to see if their streak of winning breaks here in the grand finals. They lost the first round here. They just ended up stepping back for techs. But when you look at this composition, Malians and Rus, it screams late game. Malians can field a huge army late game, and Rus have a lot of very powerful units that they can go for, buffs that they can go for, including buffs that we have seen from the warrior monks, something that B is getting the text for. And it looks like they're kind of chilling out in this round as well. You see, not a huge commitment to army, just a handful of units. Maybe they thought that MarineLord and Beasty will also go for techs, or maybe they just felt like, look, we can't fully step back from this round, but we still want to prioritize going into the technologies. Javelin throwers will do a good job here against the Arbaletier, but the men-at-arms, they just have no natural predator. Second point on the board will be there for Beasty and MarineLord. Now, you look at these civilizations, we talked about how Rus and Malians are kind of late game focused in this game mode. I'm not sure what to expect from HRE and French, but it's actually a composition that can be very oppressive off the back of just sheer numbers. HRE infantry can survive for a long time. You can kind of mix and match the men-at-arms, the spearmen, maybe some Landsknechte even. And then French just love to play into the Arbaletier and Pavise. Now, one thing I love about the Malians here is that you have a big threat to those Arbaletier, and it's not something that a lot of civilizations have. So we'll have to see how this plays out. But again, look at this. As we have a fire truck passing by the house, so that's probably what you're hearing. Anyway, hopefully you didn't hear much of that, but apologies if you did. So one of the things I'm noticing here for Bee+Anotand is that they always field some units, but very little. You see, even round number 3, they're willing to step back from this one to go for techs. Basically, they want to reverse sweep this series in a way. They're just giving up these early rounds, but they will be fully stacked on technologies for essentially round number 4 and beyond. But I feel like there is a lot of risks associated with this. They have given 3 very clear rounds to Beast and MarineLord. These were very clear rounds for Beast and MarineLord. And sure enough, you might have the tech lead over here for Bee+Anotand, but can you win 4, possibly 5 rounds straight against Beast and MarineLord? I'm not so certain. I feel like they've given too big of an advantage for Beast and MarineLord. Now, I would not be shocked if Beast and MarineLord just went for techs in this round. I think they've been fighting it out in every single round. Now they probably realize that Bee+Anotand aren't really committing to too much army. So this is where, with a 3-point lead, you probably just commit to techs. And I actually do not know what you would do here as Bee+Anotand. Looks like they now commit heavily to the army. Crossbow and Musafari Warrior feels a little redundant to me. Both of these units are designed to counter heavy units. If either of the players from Beast and MarineLord went for archers, which is extremely unlikely in this matchup, but still, that unit composition for 3D was rather redundant. They replaced the Musafari Warriors with Javelin Throwers. But you see, Beast and MarineLord just step back from this round. They say, look, we know that you've been focusing on techs in the first couple of rounds. We are going to do that ourselves. And I think this is a more effective way of doing this. They still have a 2 points lead, but you see both teams reach Imperial at the same time. And I think MarineLord and Beastie are perfectly fine with their techs. I don't think that those half army, half tech rounds that we had in round number 2 and 3 from 3D really paid off. I feel like those were just rounds that they lost, but they didn't gain a significant enough deck advantage to justify those losses. You see here, MarineLord and Beasty will actually step back from this round even. They will just say, look, we forfeit this round. Frankly, it looks like 3D is doing the same thing, so Beasty and MarineLord might actually end up winning this round because they will have a couple of Arbaletria against the Streltsy. Looks like a couple of Musafari Warriors will be mixed in, but this is a crucial round. Both teams went for the high eco approach, or the high tech approach. Whoever steals around here, it could be very valuable. Looks like it's going to be 3D. But I think Beasty and MarineLord are fine with that. This was more about the fact that 3D couldn't afford going for a tech round here and losing it. So that's why they went for some army here at least. Nice cleanup. This puts a second point on the board for 3D, but now MarineLord and Beasty are stacked with techs. This is where the large-scale battles will begin. And this is where I expect to see a lot of javelin throwers from Anotand. He needs to deal with those Arbaletria. He is the key to removing those from the field. And this is where I would love to see Beasty committing to Knights. Now, that's not going to be the case. Instead, MarineLord goes for Horsemen. I'm also fine with that. But I feel like one of the things that we haven't really seen from Bee+Anotand is anti-cavalry. Bee didn't go for Spears. We haven't seen Donsos from Anotand. We have seen basically nothing that deals with cavalry. Now, this is a good read from Anotand. They are anticipating a cavalry play, and there will be Donsos this time. It's only half Donsos, half Musafari warriors, and they're only supported by a handful of crossbows. A lot of warrior monks, though. A lot comes down to this buff, and you see, Bee has gotten basically all techs for the warrior monks. These guys are tanky, man, and they will provide that crucial buff of the Saint's Blessing to the teammates. Arbaletria, though, firing from the backline, deploying the Pavise, as 3D will wait it out. They want to wait for the Pavise to disappear. And in the meantime, they actually can use the warrior monks to heal as well. You see, we even have some imams from Anotand. Donsos trying to throw some javelins. Still, I feel like if the Arbaletria focus down the Donsos, the horsemen can just sweep the rest. As long as you keep the horsemen alive for MarineLord, this will work out. I also like how they're closer to the middle of the circle. This circle, or at least outside of it, is a death zone. You want to stay inside. And there's a better position right now for Beast and MarineLord to hold. Pavise not yet recharged, but the fight will begin. Donsos actually do a great job closing the distance, and the Horsemen are fighting the Donsos in melee. That's not something that you want to do if you're MarineLord. Finally, some of the Horsemen find landing on the crossbows, but it's a little too late, and it looks like this army for Bee+Anotand will be able to dominate the battle. Warrior Monks are still alive, and they soak up a lot of the arrow fire from the Arbaletria. But the Pavises have recharged, and you see now the circle is too small. You cannot disengage if you are Bee, and the Pavise in itself might actually give a glimpse of hope here for Beast and MarineLord, especially once the melee units are gone. I think this is going to be a round for Bee+Anotand, but this actually got closer than what I expected it would be. You see, right now, Imams actually soak up the arrow fire here, and in the end, Bee+Anotand will secure this round. We talked about this. They base their strategy on late-game domination, and they need to win like 4, perhaps even 5 rounds straight to really have any kind of comfort and any kind of chance of securing this game. They've actually won 3 straight. So it remains to be seen what Beast and MarineLord do against this, but now we have archers from Beasty. This is actually a good position to be in for 3D, because they kind of move the French player out of their comfort zone. You don't want to go French archers. In this game mode, it's all about how you use the unit bonuses that you have for your Civ, and French archers have none. So this is actually a very uncomfortable unit for Beasty to make. Luckily for them, not a single javelin thrower has been mixed in here by Bee+Anotand. In the previous round, they had a good read on what MarineLord and Beasty want to do. Not so much over here. As uncomfortable as it is to go for archers with the French, it's also somewhat unexpected, and it makes it actually very effective against what Bee+Anotand are doing over here. Now, Warrior Monks are still very sturdy to soak up arrow fire, but Musafari Warriors and Donsos will be taken down quickly by the archers, and there is this support Mangonel as well, against which there is nothing that 3D has, actually. Mangonel did a decent job, although it got focused down by the Streltsy. Still, archers doing a great job over here. And the element of surprise coming in from the French archers is something that is actually propelling Beasty and MarineLord to a possible win here in round number 7. Space to run backwards to is actually running out, though, and the warrior monks are still chasing them. A lot of them still fairly healthy, but you see archers will just focus down the damage-dealing units now. They ignore the warrior monks, now focus down the streltsy, the healing units on the backline as well, and now it's a raw numbers game. It's actually closer than I expected it would be, and you have to be cautious with the circle here as well for Beasty and MarineLord. But once the streltsy are gone, I think the archers are enough. Right? Right? This is actually much closer than I anticipated it would be. Holy smokes. 3D might actually edge this out. I did not see this coming. Don't underestimate the tankiness of these warrior monks. They've soaked up so much arrow fire. Now, crossbows have been focused down, but the imams are actually healing up the warrior monks here. You still have to start focusing the warrior monks, and I don't think this is enough. Warrior monks don't have a great damage output, but it still will be enough to dispatch the archers just by a tiny margin. It is the 4th consecutive round on the board here for 3D. Boy, oh boy, are they looking strong. I gotta say, I was a doubter. I was a doubter about their approach after round 3, but they have proven me wrong. And I was a doubter in this specific round as well, and boy, oh boy, did they prove me wrong. And now, it is match point, or actually just map point for Bee+Anotand in this best of 3. Now it's going to be spears and archers, though. Javelin throwers heavily mixed in over here for Anotand. Once again, good unit to deal with what MarineLord and Beasty are bringing in. I don't know what Bee is going to go for, but in this matchup, if he goes streltsy or just pure archers, they can dominate Beasty and MarineLord. He's going to go warrior monks once again. It's going to be a tool to soak up a lot of arrow fire with, but it's a bad unit comp. This is one of those situations where Bee+Anotand want diversity, but in reality, if they just went full archer, they would have beaten this. Like javelin thrower, full archer. Here, because they committed to a lot of crossbows, there's a chance here for Beasty and MarineLord. Fight breaks out quickly. This time around, the warrior monks cannot stand and fight against those spears, and the archers are doing a great job focusing down the damage-dealing units on the back line. Donzos disappear very quickly. Spearmen also doing great work on the front line, and this is dominant for Beasty and MarineLord. They just had a huge mass of cheap units. Spearmen and archers are both very cheap, and they're also very effective in these battles. On the other side, crossbows, streltsy, they're a lot more expensive, and their contribution to this battle was very limited. Dominant win in round number 8 for Beast and MarineLord, which pushes us to a decider round here in game number 1. Now, this all comes down to how you approach this. Can you get a good read on what your opponent is planning to do? And you see, for a brief moment, Anotand queued up a lot of javelins. Maybe they expected Beast and MarineLord to go for the same composition. Beast and MarineLord is actually uncommitted. And it looks like now Bee+Anotand will go for Musafati warriors, archers, and warrior monks. This is a risky approach because the Musafati warriors can die quickly. It's a fragile front line. MarineLord mixes in a single mangonel, second mangonel. We haven't seen much siege from either side. And these two mangonels, they are the key to the success of Beast and MarineLord. If those mangonels can get good hits on the Musafati warriors, it's all over. They are right now hidden. There's a scout mixed in by Beasty. I love that addition. It reveals the Musafati warriors, though some of them can flank around. MarineLord doing a good job shielding the mangonels. Same thing here for Beasty with the archers. And the mangonels, they are just dishing out punishment over here. Archers focusing down the Musafati warriors. But it really comes down to these mangonels. These mangonels have just not been under pressure. And they are just continuously dishing out punishment, forcing the streltsy to keep dodging those shots. The Musafati warriors disappear due to the archers. And the mangonels are still intact. The archers, they have to be desperate, close the distance to the mangonels. But it's difficult when you have so many archers over here for Beasty. We haven't seen a lot of siege from either side, so neither side committed to anti-siege, and this element of surprise is something that's propelling Beasty and MarineLord to a win here. They will be the team that secures game number 1 here. And if I would have to summarize this game, I would really just say element of surprise. Bee+Anotand had crazy momentum until Beasty started mixing in the archers. Those archers really started to swing this. And beyond that point, it was difficult for Bee+Anotand to deal with this spear archer composition. They had a good read on this for the final round, but they just needed one spring ult, frankly. If Bee+Anotand had a single spring ult or a single cover in, they probably win the final round. But without that, there was just nothing that dealt with the Mangonels, and ultimately, Mangonels and Archers combined take down this army. It is Beasty and MarineLord that win the first game of this best of 3. Once again, they have done the same thing in the first edition of this tournament. Go down to the lower bracket, climb back up into the grand finals and secure it. They are one game away from doing that again. Let's see if history will repeat itself here in Templars of the Arena 2. Welcome back to the grand finals of Templars of the Arena 2. There's $400 on the line over here in game number 2. Well, not game number 2 itself, but the entire tournament. Once again, this event has been organized and sponsored by the community of Corvinus 1, also known as Salami in previous times. I will put all the relevant links in the description if you want to support Salami or if you want to support future editions of this tournament. Game number 1 was secured by Beasty and MarineLord. They do have a 1-0 lead right now, and they will have the Chinese and the Ottomans facing off against the Mongols and the HRE. Now, Chinese and Ottomans is a very oppressive combo, and it's something that could work very well late game. Round number 1, it's basically a tech focus for both sides, but frankly, Beast and MarineLord just go for villagers and the matter. The matter is something that you get for free, and because you had 2 archers committed to by Bee+Anotand, they will secure this round. These are valuable rounds, we talked about this. You have no commitment or limited commitment to the army from both sides. Whoever wins those rounds gets a very quick and low effort win. And it's not like they will fall behind that much in eco. It's way better than having a round where you commit heavily to army, your opponent skips the whole round, and you will fall behind in terms of tech. Here, the tech levels are basically identical, but Bee+Anotand secured the game over Beast and MarineLord. That's going to be crossbows, men-at-arms for Bee+Anotand, heavy commitment to army. Palace Guard and crossbow is going to be the response from Beast and MarineLord, but they do have a mangonel as well. Now, key things to look at in this battle, the con buff obviously helping out the forces over here. On the other side, though, you have the matter buff. It all comes down to how well these HRE men-at-arms can deal with the Palace Guards. Crossbows will dance back and forth. Nice little pick at the beginning. There's a villager actually flanking around here, just to force a volley out from the crossbows, perhaps. There is the movement speed popped here by the Khan as the men-at-arms do jump the crossbows. Crossbows try to close distance to the mangonel over here. This is a beautiful move from 3D Clan. They are focusing on the crossbows with their own Palace Guards, slowly getting taken down by the men-at-arms, but a lot of these crossbows are being sacrificed over here by B. They have focused down the enemy crossbows, and some of their own men-at-arms are still alive, though. This should be enough for 3D Clan. And in the first real battle of this game, we do have 3D prevail. They'll move on to a 2-0 lead. Round number 3 coming up. We have Castle Age for both sides. You do get the free mangonel for the Ottomans, by the way. This is not something I had the chance to highlight in some of the previous costs. So in case you're confused why we always see a mangonel, that's something that you get as a freebie from the armory. That's your bonus. Part of your bonus, at least, for the Ottomans. You also get a free meter. Looks like we are just going to have crossbows over here for Beasty. MarineLord, yet to commit to units. But this is a very heavy commitment to units from Bee+Anotand. They go for men-at-arms and crossbows. And MarineLord is also just going to go crossbows here. This should be extremely one-sided for Bee+Anotand. Now, in the previous game, we have seen Beast and MarineLord move up to a 3-0 lead, and then drop what I think was 4 straight games to Bee+Anotand. That is not something... Actually, that's not something that's going to happen in this game. You see, MarineLord and Beasty won't even fight this. They look at the army and say, look, we don't win this. They just step back from this. Now... in the previous game, as I said, it was Beasty and MarineLord who moved up to 3-0, and then you had 4 straight games won by Bee+Anotand. We're going to have to see if the reverse thing is going to happen, but you see signs of that, because now with a 3-point lead here in this match by Bee+Anotand, they opt to go heavily on the techs, and Beasty and MarineLord will go heavy into the armies. Now, this is one of those setups where a full tech commit actually is good for Bee+Anotand, because Beast and MarineLord committed very heavily into the army. And these units, they won't pay for their price. A single crossbow would have secured this round just as much as 45 or 50 or 60 of them would do. Obviously, you don't know what your opponent is going for, and they are down by 3 points, so they much needed this round. They couldn't afford to just gamble on undercommitting and going for techs. That's the advantage that you get when you have a 2-0 or 3-0 lead. Your opponent needs to commit to army. They cannot gamble on these strong tech ups, whereas you, having a 3-point lead, you can. And that's exactly what we have seen from Bee+Anotand. Now, oftentimes you see players or teams do 2 straight tech rounds when they have a 3-0 lead. I wouldn't like that for Bee+Anotand. I think you let your opponent creep a little too close for comfort. And Beasty and MarineLord are kind of conscious about the fact that their opponents might be doing that. They're taking a huge gamble here. They basically forfeit this round. And if they do, that moves their opponents to map point. This is a huge gamble. And you see a single crossbowman, actually a couple of archers as well mixed in, should be enough to secure this. They need to close distance to the mangonel, and then the mangonel cannot fire. You see, you're going to have to play dodgeball over here for a brief moment, but the combat itself should be enough with this. Yeah, you see, there is no chance over here for Beasty and MarineLord. And with that, Bee+Anotand move up to map point. This is why I'm somewhat skeptical, and this is why it's so challenging to go for these tech plays when you're down by 2 points. You evened out the tech, but now you basically have to win 4 straight to secure this game. Obviously, for Beast and MarineLord, they have a game lead in this set, so even if they lose this, this just goes into a decider game. But still, I don't like their position right now. I think Anotand and Bee are in a great position to take this into game number 3 and battle it out in a decider game. It's going to be some Nest of Bees, supported by crossbows and spears, facing off against a lot of horsemen, crossbows, and archers. I feel like it's raw numbers. I think it's a raw numbers game for Anotand and Bee. I think you kind of split up your cavalry, flank from 2 sides, and if you can snipe the Nest of Bees, there are limited options available here for Beasty and MarineLord. That is something that has been done very well in previous rounds by 3D Clan. This time around, the body blocks are great. Horsemen have to fight the spearmen, but they do get access to the flank. Beautiful volley from the Nest of Bees. Coral Iora, though, helping out with the heals as the Khan gets sniped. Nest of Bees are still out there, though, and the horsemen have been sniped. Nest of Bees haven't been focused by the crossbows, somewhat surprisingly. Still alive are the Nest of Bees, but distance is just too close now. In the face of those crossbows, they can no longer fire. And it looks like Anotand and Bee will sweep game number 2 here, and they will be taking this set into a decider. Just raw numbers, as well as the fact that they have split up their units, making it more difficult for Nest of Bees to do damage. Also, let's not discount the Kurotai buff, which allowed some level of healing to be there for these troops. So it was a little bit more difficult for these Nest of Bees to kill them. Beast and MarineLord are doing their best. On the other hand, I feel like these Nest of Bees should have been that long ago. Anotand and Bee haven't really been focusing them up until now, and Beasty will just step out of this one. It will be taken into a final game here. Bee+Anotand facing off against Beasty and MarineLord here in the finals of Templars of Arena 2. We will have one more match to decide who will be the champion of the 2nd edition of this tournament. It is deciders time. Here we go. It is the French and the Ottomans for Anotand and Bee facing off against the Mongols and the Rus of MarineLord and Beasty. In the 1st edition of this tournament, I think I said this a couple of times before, Beast and MarineLord got knocked down to the lower bracket and then swept through it, got back into the grand finals and won it. Story has been the same so far. They were gone, at least from the winner's bracket. They went down to the lower bracket, got back into the grand finals. Right now, the score is 1 apiece. Whoever wins this game is going to be the champion of Templars of Arena 2. First round, it's going to be a tech play by Bee+Anotand. They just forfeit this round in favor of Beasty and MarineLord. Beasty and MarineLord will be the first team on board. Now with Castle Age, though, you will have the free Mangonel come in for the Ottoman player. We have seen limited value to this Mangonel, though, in the previous rounds and the previous games that we've seen. It is a nice addition, but it's more about the matter for the Ottomans over here. Bee's working towards the Arbaletier, though, and I'm actually curious to see whether this is something that Beasty and MarineLord will exploit. I feel like you are rather predictable playing into the crossbows with the French, and it's something that can be counterpicked with heavy archers. In fact, if we had heavy archers from both players here, from Beast and MarineLord, they would be able to take this army down with ease. Instead, they go for quite a few crucial techs. You see MarineLord actually mixing in a couple more archers, but Beastie wants to go for whistling arrows. He wants to grab the buff for the Khan. And I think this battle may be winnable for Beast and MarineLord. They don't have the upper hand, that is for sure, especially when the Pavisa are deployed. But what happened? We had one of these teams just deleting the army, saying, look, we can't do this. Looks like we now have an even score line, though. Thing is, as I said, the chances for Beast and MarineLord were slim. They were outnumbered very heavily. They probably saw the Mangonel, said, look, they have a front line in front of the Mangonel. Eventually, the Mangonel plus the Arbaletria will clean us up, so they will just step back from that round. Anotand and Bee now even out the score line, as we will have Horseman upgrades coming in here for Anotand, or well, Sipahi that is, but also mixing in some men-at-arms. So he's setting himself up for a different type of unit than what he's going for in this round, and it's going to be crossbows for Bee. Other side, Beast and MarineLord go heavy on the techs once again. MarineLord wants to squeeze in these very expensive techs. That's essentially the Saint's Blessing plus the Divine Light upgrade. These are very pricey techs, but they will also be very valuable starting mid and late game. So that's right now it's MarineLord and Beastie playing for a longer game here, especially with the Ruse. And an even scoreline, stepping back for techs is good value. So this was a round that's very valuable, I feel, for Beastie and MarineLord, especially because they were able to secure some of the key techs that they will need for the Warrior Monks. Warrior Monks now being mixed in by MarineLord. He also has quite a few archers, and now they go double archers. You see, as I said, one of the things that I dislike about the French in this game mode is that you're very predictable with the Arbaletria. Now, frankly, Bee is going to switch into archers himself. They have some good reads on what MarineLord and Beastie want to do. They have seen that Beast and MarineLord went for techs, so they can assume that Beast and MarineLord will likely go for army. If I've been playing crossbows the whole game, what's the army that Beast and MarineLord will go for? Likely archers, right? So I'll just mix in my own archers, but you see, I do have the Meter buff over here, plus the Mangonel as well. That's what's going on in the hand or in the heads of Bee+Anotand, and boy oh boy were they right. The archers dive deep to try and snipe the Khan. Mangonel still in play. Meter has been sniped out, but now the buff from both sides is gone. Numbers are looking a lot better, though, for Bee+Anotand. There is also Mangonel to support. Bee+Anotand will secure the third round over here. Round number 4, that is, but it's the third on the board for them. And this is critical. They almost went for the crossbows. Those were the units queued up for a while for Bee. They shifted away last second, and this heavy play into archers from both sides just ultimately won the round for Bee+Anotand. Beast and MarineLord now go for Imperial. This is where they can really start unlocking the power of the Ruse. In fact, we're seeing incendiary arrows come in. We'll likely see more Warrior Monks as well. But I don't think that Beastie and MarineLord can afford not to commit to this round. It's very risky to just go for techs in here because you would allow Anotand and Bee to move into match point. I think you have to commit. Beastie is teching into men-at-arms. Now, this is once again a position of mind games, and it looks like it is Bee+Anotand who step back from this round. They just play upgrade heavy, couple of units out there, but Beast and MarineLord will be able to secure this round over here, meaning that they will have the second on board as well. Bee+Anotand just delete. They say, well, it's whatever. I actually wonder if they delete so quickly to prevent the enemies from seeing what they went for. Because don't forget, if you show any units, the enemy can click on them. If they click on them, they can see if it has elite upgrades, if it has blacksmith upgrades, and that can be a sign of what units you want to go for in the next rounds. If they see, let's say, no ranged upgrades on your crossbows, that could be an indicator that you might not be going for ranged for many more rounds. Anyways, Anotand is going to play into the Sipahis. He's going to have biology as well. Bee going for the Arbaletria. This time around, it's going to be Men-at-Arms and Archers, though. Now, Men-at-Arms aren't really a hard counter to the Sipahi, but they can just stand their ground. They do have a lot of melee armor. And especially when the Khan is out there as well, it's actually something that can keep those Men-at-Arms alive for a long time, let the Archers dish out the punishment. Now, don't forget, Saint's Blessing also helps a lot here. Springald gets rid of the Mangonel on the back line. Archers buffed by the Khan on the other side. Pavisa has been deployed on the crossbows. Crossbows doing a decent job focusing down all these Men-at-Arms. It looks like Sipahi aren't really getting to the Archers, though. They've been fighting this close melee against the Men-at-Arms, and these Men-at-Arms are tanky, as I said. This is not a fight that Anatand and Bee wanted to lose. They had the composition to beat this, but they've been fighting the wrong units. The Sipahi have just been massacred by the Men-at-Arms, and this allowed the Archers to just reign supreme. They slowly focused down the Sipahi, they picked off the Archers, or the crossbows rather, from the back line, and with that, it's an even-Steven scoreline. It's 3 apiece as we move into round number 7. Mangonel, of course, will be once again there, thanks to the armory for the Ottomans. And it's going to be, once again, Heavy Warrior Monks for MarineLord. It's going to switch to even more Archers, actually. And it looks like Beasty and MarineLord will rock with a very similar composition, this time also mixing in some Spearmen. I don't think that these are here against the Sipahi specifically. I think it's more about the threat of French cavalry. French cavalry, by that I mean, of course, knights, not horsemen. Now, Bee+Anotand go for a huge tech up here. I feel like this is a huge gamble, and I greatly dislike it. Especially because Bee opted to go for some Arbaletria. This is so disconnected, and I hate this round for 3D. They basically allow Beasty and MarineLord to move on to match point. They forfeit this round. And also, if you want to go for techs, you don't want to do it when your teammate is committing to some army. This might have been one of those cases where Bee had just nothing to research, but that is kind of a weakness that you see in the long-term strategy. You don't want disconnected rounds like this. It's either both of you going for techs, or both of you going for armies. Here, Anatand has gotten a bunch of techs, and Bee just wasted a bunch of resources on those Arbaletria. Now we are looking at a round that is a must-win for Anatand and Bee. It's match point from Beasty and MarineLord. It's all on this round. Bee and Anatand need 2 straight. They will play into Men-at-Arms and Arbaletria. It's a strong composition. There is going to be a lot of Warrior Monks, though. A lot of Archers as well from MarineLord and Beasty. This battle can go either way. And there is a single piece of a Springald for Bee. That is so crucial. Without the Springals, these Mangonels would reign supreme. You still gotta be cautious with them. Mangonels getting some good shots going over here. Second volley might come in here. And you see a single Springald takes time to take down these Mangonels. Khan goes down on the flank. Mangonel still getting some good shots going. Looks like the Men-at-Arms will essentially be traded. Beautiful shot by the Mangonel at the edge of the crossbow formation. Still, though, Mangonels are alive over here for Anatand. Archers trying to focus down all these crossbows, but this is looking decent for Bee+Anotand. Pavisa still available over here. Now it is deployed. Mangonel has been gotten rid of. Bee+Anotand, they just have no more Mangonels, and now looks like the Archer numbers, they will start reigning supreme as the Men-at-Arms disappear. I was maybe overestimating the amount of Men-at-Arms that Anatand had in this battle, because it is just insufficient, and with the Men-at-Arms gone, the Archers will just focus down all those Arbaletria. I greatly doubted the strategy choice here for Anatand and Bee, especially in the previous round. I greatly disliked how they allowed Bee and MarineLord to move on to match point. Bee and MarineLord will capitalize on this. They secure this round, and with that, the match, they once again crown themselves as the champions of Templars of the Arena. This time, the second edition of the tournament falls into their hands, and it is the same story that they had in the previous edition. They go down to the lower bracket, and then they climb back up, securing the grand finals. Now they have won Templars of the Arena twice. Congratulations to Beasty and MarineLord again on that success. Once again, huge shout-out goes to Corvinus1 for organizing this event. Huge shout-out goes to his community for sponsoring this. And also to make this open casting. It's not obvious that these community-funded events are open casting, so I greatly appreciate that being a thing and allowing me to cast this event. It has been a lot of fun. If you want to contribute to future editions of this tournament, or if you just want to support Corvinus, if you just want to say, hey, thanks for the event, I'll put all corresponding links down in the video description. With that, Templars of the Arena 2 ends. If you want to, catch up on future editions of the event or just more costs from me, then I greatly appreciate if you subscribe to the channel. Those metrics help me a lot, get new opportunities, and just sustain what I do. So if you do that for me, I will be very thankful. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next cast.